Hi, my name is Abhishek Poddar.
Hello, my name is Monimay Paramani.
My name is Sanu Dutta.
My name is Anirban Guho, and today we are going to discuss about the geomorphological landform called delta. One by one, we are going to discuss every aspect related to delta.
We are thankful to our sir Dr. Sudipta Banerjee for helping us to making this video possible.
We are going to talk about delta. So what is delta? Delta is a landform which is created at the mouth of a river where it flows into an ocean, sea, lake or another river. So delta হচ্ছে একটা জিওমরফোলজিক্যাল ল্যান্ডফর্ম যেটা আমরা নদীর মোহনাতে দেখতে পাই এবং এই যে ডেল্টা যে ওয়ার্ডটা আছে এটা ফার্স্ট ইন্ট্রোডিউস করেছিল গ্রিক ফিলোসোফার হেরোডোটাস, যেটা কিনা বাংলায় দেখতে ব আকৃতির মতো। And it forms when the river deposits sediment such as sand, silt, clay carried from upstream river. সো এই ডেল্টাটা যখন ডেল্টাটা একটা নদীতে যদি তিনটি স্টেজ থাকে, ইয়ং স্টেজ, ম্যাচিওর স্টেজ অ্যান্ড ওল্ডার স্টেজ। সো এই ডেল্টাটা তৈরি হয় আমাদের নদীর ম্যাচিওর ওল্ডার স্টেজে এবং ওল্ডার স্টেজে যেহেতু নদীর গতিবেগটা কম থাকে এবং সেখানে সেডিমেন্ট ডিপোজিট যেমন সিল্ট, ক্লে এগুলি এই ডিপোজিটটা বেশি হয়, সেই কারণে ডেল্টাটা নদীর মোহনাতে তৈরি হয়। The sediments accumulates and form a triangular or fan-shaped landforms. So নদী যখন সেই সিল্ট, ক্লে অ্যান্ড স্যান্ড এগুলিকে বহন করে আনে এবং মোহনাতে ডিপোজিট করে, তখন একটি ট্রায়াঙ্গুলার শেপড বা ফ্যান শেপটের একটা ল্যান্ডফর্ম তৈরি হয়, যেটাকে আমরা ডেল্টা বলি। সাইডে আমরা একটা ডেল্টা ছবি দেখতে পাচ্ছি যেটা কিনা দেখতে পাখির পায়ের মতো, এবং এটাকে আমরা বার্ডফুট ডেল্টা বলে থাকি। এবং এই বার্ডফুট ডেল্টাটা আমরা পরে আরও ডেল্টার যে ক্লাসিফিকেশন আছে সেটাও তো আমরা আলোচনা করব। এবং তার নিচেও একটা দেখতে পাচ্ছি আমরা আরেক ধরনের ডেল্টা, এটাও এক ধরনের ডেল্টা ছবি। এখানে আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি রিভার বয়ে এসেছে এবং তারপর বিভিন্ন চ্যানেলে আরও ডিভাইড হয়েছে, এটাও এক ধরনের ডেল্টা।
Now we are going to discuss about the conditions which are necessary for the delta formation. The first one being the sediment supply. The larger would be the river basin, the more tributaries of a river, the more sediments it will be able to carry and deposit at the mouth, resulting a prominent delta. For example, if we consider the Amazon River, the river delta is actually very prominent and wide. Next point, it is low energy environment. By terming low energy environment, we are referring to the low energy of the wave and tidal environment. It should be noted that the rate of deposition of sediments by the river should be more than the rate of erosion by the tidal and wave forces, or in general coastal processes. So the delta should be formed prominently. Third point is tectonic setting. Whether the land is subsiding or getting raised tectonically with relative to the ocean level, the ocean water level, it is very important for the delta formation. Because if a land is subsiding and then actually if I take the diagram, you will see if this is the previous ocean water level, and if this land portion gets subsided, then the next sea level would be more. For that reason, the sediments would not be able to get accumulated there, and so prominent delta will not be formed. But since in the recent 1,000 years, the less example of this subsiding tectonics is observed. For that reason, we do not encounter this in global examples. Next point is shallow gradient. We know a river transportation capacity is proportional to the 6th power of the flow velocity. For that reason, when the gradient is shallow near the old stage of a river, since its velocity gets decreased, so the transportation capacity also gets decreased. For that reason, the load gets deposited at the mouth of the river. So shallow gradient is necessary. And lastly, it is the relative density of river and sea. Whether the flow is homopyknal, hyperpyknal, or hypopyknal, it is necessary to know these things, the nature of the flow of the river, in order to decide whether delta would be formed prominently or not. In case of only homopyknal flow, where the density of the river and the sea are almost equal, we get a prominent delta formation. In case of hyperpyknal flow of water, there is an underwater flow of sediments which doesn't allow delta to be formed. And also in case of homopyknal, the the sediments get dispersed on the ocean water, and then it gets flocculated later, leading to a not a delta formation. So these are the conditions for the next. In this slide, we are talking about how much sand it is necessary to form a prominent fan-shaped delta. We see when the sand percentage of the sediments is 75%, a more prominent fan-shaped delta is formed. Next, if we talk about the morphology, a delta basically has three main portions, which is delta front, delta plain, and pro-delta. A delta front refers to the coastal regions. And basically in the delta front, it is when the delta gets prograded, the delta fronts moves further and further towards the ocean. Next, if we talk about the delta plain, a delta plain is basically where the sediments get deposited, and in the delta plain we see there are many active channels, active distributaries and inactive distributaries. As you can see, here are the active channels, and there may have been also here some inactive delta, in which now water doesn't flow, but in the past it used to flow. And thirdly, it is pro-delta. Pro-delta is basically that portion of the delta which is under the ocean. I mean, it means it is a submerged portion of the delta. There is a slant in the gradient, and so these are the three geomorphological elements of the delta: delta front, delta plain, and pro-delta.
Here we discuss about the classification of river delta. It is divided upon the basis of geometry, means its shape. At first, we discuss about the bird foot delta. As the name suggests, bird foot means it looks like as the foot of a bird. Here we see the river channel can carry a lot of sediment, means the suspended sediment get penetrate through its river channel upon the sea and form a bird foot delta. It is formed when the river density is less than the sea density. It is an example of Mississippi River delta. Second, we discuss about the arcuate or cusped delta. As the name suggests arcuate, it is just shaped like an arc. Here we can see an arc. It is formed when the density of river and the density of sea is equal. It is formed when the wave action are strong and formed an arc like this. This is an example of Nile River delta. And the third one is, and the last is elongated delta. As the name suggests, it looks like an elongated shape. It is formed in the Ganga Brahmaputra River delta. It just look like elongated. It is formed due to tidal action. Now another type of delta is classified on the basis of its receiving basin. One is shallow water delta and another is deep water delta. The plain of the shallow water delta is large, but the plain of deep water delta is not very much large. In the case of shallow water delta, the delta from deposit being formed in shallow water are likely to get more reworked by wave action, and sandy or gravel deltaic sediments expected to be more oil sorted. As in the case of deep water delta, sediment get deposited in the lower part of delta slope.
So today I will discuss about the different parts of the delta and some of its importance and some economic significance of it. So basically delta has three parts: top set, bottom set and foreset. As we can see in the picture, this is the this is the top set, the inclined one foreset, and this is the bottom set. So which sedimentary deposits accumulates on the top of surface of a delta refers as topset. Means in this part, in this region, which sediments are deposited and accumulate on the top of the delta is called topset. These deposits are typically coarse grained, such as sand and gravel, and they form near the shoreline at the front of the delta. As we can see, topset deposits are influenced by the energy of the water near the delta front, okay, which decreases as it approaches the shoreline. That causes the larger, coarser sediments to settle out fast. It is the main reason for the larger and coarser grained sediments. Now, foreset. Foreset deposits are the inclined layers of sediments that builds outwards from delta front into deeper water. These deposits form as sediment laden water flows down the front of the delta and deposits its sediments load. Foreset beds typically have a characteristic incline angle, just we can this type of, known as the foreset dip angle, such as this is determined by grain size, water velocity and delta morphology. Now bottom set. Bottom set deposits are finer grained sediments that settle out farther away from the delta front in deeper water. These sediments carried by river currents and oceanic currents and are deposited in the deeper parts of the basin. Just we can see in the deeper region. Bottom set deposits often consist of silt and clay particles which settles out of suspension as the water flows down and loses carrying capacity. When the water loses its carrying capacity, the finer grain settle down in the deeper parts of the ocean and bottom set was formed. So we are talking about the significance of delta. Firstly, agriculture. Deltas often have fertile soils due to sediment deposition, making them prime agricultural lands. They support the cultivation of crops such as rice, wheat, sugarcane, and fruits, contributing significantly to global food production. Now, fisheries. Deltas provide important breeding grounds and habitats for fish, shellfish, and other aquatic species. They support vibrant fisheries industries, providing livelihoods for millions of people worldwide and supplying seafood to local and international markets. Now, transportation and trade. Deltas often host major ports and harbors due to their proximity to the sea and navigable waterways. These ports serve as vital hubs for international trade, facilitating the import and export of goods, raw materials, and commodities. Now, tourism and recreation. Many deltas are home to unique ecosystem, natural attractions and cultural heritage sites attracting tourists and visitors. Tourism contributes to local economies through spending on accommodation, dining, transportation, and recreational activities. Now, energy resources. Deltas can be rich in energy resources such as oil, natural gas, and coal. Extractive industries benefits from the proximity of deltas to offshore deposits, supporting energy production and export activities. Now, the infrastructure development. Deltas often undergo extensive infrastructure development to support urbanization, industrialization, and population growth. This includes construction projects for housing, transportation networks, water supply system, and flood projects protection measures. Now, the biodiversity and ecosystem. Deltas basically provide essential ecosystem services such as water filtration, flood regulation, carbon sequestration, and habitat provision. Deltas ecosystems contribute to biodiversity conservation and climate change mitigation efforts. These are the significance of delta and importance too. So overall, the economic significance of deltas extends across multiple sectors, highlighting their importance as productive and valuable landscapes that support human well-being and sustainable development. However, it's crucial to manage deltas responsibly to mitigate environmental degradation, preserve ecosystem service, and ensure the long-term resilience of these official coastal regions. Thank you.